The most common question by far that we've had on this channel has been about giant kin, whether they exist, and if we had any plans to redesign them if they did. Therenor does have new designs for their giant kin, and to find our first one, we need to travel to the humid swamps of Grunlog. While Smallfolk have inhabited the marshes of this region for millennia, they aren't the only race to call the bogs their home. Lurking among the twisted mangroves of the swamp is another, larger group of hunter-gatherers. Standing between 11 to 13 feet tall, Ettins are solitary two-headed beings with coats that range from muddy browns and tans to gray or black. Though comfortable climbing through the trees, they could walk upright, their lengthy arms and monstrous sloth-like claws swaying by their sides. Atop each Ettin's shoulders are two ape-like heads, armed with sizable canines, their blackened faces flanked by a dual set of vibrant white phalanges on each cheek. This odd display mimics a massive pair of eyes, and this facade is used to deter the swamp's gargantuan beasts by making them appear much larger than they are. Ettins are omnivorous, and while they ate a range of leaves, roots, and nuts, the bulk of their food intake was fish. Ettins were considered adept swimmers, though chasing after their prey in the water was not how they preferred to hunt. To fish, they silently hung from the canopy above a stream or a swamp, ready to dive onto any creature which swam below them. If fish wasn't available, they could manage by hunting deer, boar, small bears, or even gators, hiding in shrubbage, burying themselves in the bog, or dangling themselves from the canopies of trees to drop on and surprise their prey. They were masters of their environment, traveling swiftly by tree or silently by water, walking along the marsh floor with their arms extended, their now algae-covered pelts reminiscent of felled bog trees. Ettins would have one large meal a day, and spend the rest of their time passively foraging for mussels and plant life to sustain their agile, muscular builds. They have superb dark vision, and would fish at either dawn or dusk dependent on the weather. When it comes time to rest, they clamber up the trees into spherical nests made of sturdy reeds and leaves wedged into nooks of the swamp's mangroves. Despite living within a swamp, Ettins valued their hygiene, constantly preening their hides of muck and parasites, removing debris from their teeth, and ensuring their homes in the surrounding area is void of any refuse. For such bestial-looking creatures, Ettins are surprisingly smart, each head boasting roughly human intelligence. They were capable of speech and have shown to have an excellent memory. If one head would forget something, the other would surely remember. Each Ettin was an individual, with its own name, personality, interests, and quirks. An Ettin referred to themselves with a combination of both heads' names, and when speaking to an Ettin, one is expected to address them as a whole. Asking to speak with just one of the heads was seen as disrespectful. There was no designated dominant side of an Ettin, though personalities could cause one to submit more to the other. Most Ettins are naturally curious, seeking out new ways to stimulate their dual minds throughout the day, either through reading scavenged journals, composing songs, or developing a craft like reed weaving. Despite their brains, Ettins generally kept their thoughts to themselves, each had conversation enough for the other, though areas with a higher density of Ettins may regularly interact with their neighbors. Ettins are not naturally aggressive, and most choose to avoid conflict when it can be helped. A confronted Ettin's first option is to get loud, both heads whooping and hollering, raising its clawed arms high in the air, and staring down the foe with their phalanges. If this display doesn't work, their next choice is to retreat. An aversion to conflict shouldn't be mistaken as weakness, however. A cornered Ettin would surely maul whatever is in front of it. Smallfolk and Ettins have a complex relationship with one another. Both require the same resources, meaning the two compete on a near daily basis. Smallfolk struggle if their town is too small, or there are too many Ettins local to the region. Finding the shallows have already been picked over, or fish and wildlife have already been spooked from their usual gathering spots. In some extreme cases, Ettins may even ambush one of the town's few fishing boats, capsizing it before making an escape back into the murky waters. In larger settlements where smallfolk vastly outnumber the region's Ettins, however, the outcome is much more grim. The abundance of fishermen are much more efficient than the Ettins, denying them a crucial resource and forcing them to seek nourishment elsewhere. For the Ettins surrounding Firth, Grunlog's largest city, they are effectively out-harvested in all aspects, losing access to both fish and game animals due to the city's activity. Desperate for meat, these Ettins move closer to the city, stalking its docks and waterways during dusk and dawn in search of lone individuals to snatch up. Stories of ravenous man-eating Ettins spread quickly throughout the swamp, leading many smallfolk to distrust or even despise their arboreal neighbors. Despite the competition between the two, Ettins and smallfolk still engage in diplomacy with one another. Some towns have neutral or even friendly relations with their local Ettins, the accomplished tanners, fishers, weavers, and trinket makers among them eager to trade with smallfolk in exchange for books, textiles, and gold. Ettins may also seek out smallfolk towns for hard-to-find farmed foods and even mercenary work, hiring them to raise the property of other rival Ettins. While Ettins are intelligent, they don't make conventional humanoid expressions, instead showing their emotions with a range of pouts, lip flips, grins, and kiss squeaks, which often lead to miscommunications and escalations when conversing with smallfolk. They may not be aggressive, but Ettins are known to have explosive personalities, most reacting to moments of frustration with short bouts of rage, mauling the source of their anger before returning to a steady calm. For this reason, you'll generally find more timid Ettins engaging in smallfolk relations. One place where smallfolk and Ettins can find common ground is worship of the Great Spirits. While smallfolk use prayers and rituals to appease the realm and strengthen the faint primordial magic within their souls, Ettins naturally have a deep connection with Therenor due to their giant kin status. And some of these Ettins have managed to tap into this inner strength and become powerful clerics and druids. Scattered across Grunlog are great Ettin healers, sought out by smallfolk and Ettin alike to cure ailments and lead prayers. Ettins which worship near smallfolk towns inevitably inherit the religious practice of the townspeople, and if there is peace among the two parties, may join smallfolk in prayer from time to time. With steady access to smallfolk wares, Ettins have even shown they can become accomplished mages, opting to study the arcane arts instead of pay tribute to the realm. Thanks to their dual heads, Ettin spellcasters were capable of twin-casting spells at will, simultaneously healing allies and harming foes, and even concentrating on 2 spells at once. It was common for each head to focus on different schools of magic, often ones which complemented or paralleled one another, but both heads could practice magic from the same school. Though their potential is great, these feats are only attainable as long as both heads are in good standing with one another. An Ettin fighting with itself may interrupt its own spells or force itself out of concentration. For some of these Ettins, only one of the 2 heads may be interested in sorcery altogether, breeding animosity among the two. The end result is an Ettin who is often both an incompetent spellcaster and a clumsy hunter. If these 2 heads are able to look past their differences, however, they have the potential of becoming a formidable battle mage. While it's true an Ettin's defining feature is its 2 heads, there are both natural and magical instances where an Ettin may suffer a critical injury to one of the 2. In most cases, an Ettin would succumb to such a wound, though a few notable individuals have survived. Black market merchants and swords for hire throughout the swamps tell tale of such an Ettin. Once a prodigious healer and cleric of the Great Spirits by the name of Dallan, this renowned Ettin lived to serve the realm and its creatures, welcoming all of any size to join them in worship. Their den on the outskirts of Firth was recognized as a holy site, where idols of all 6 great spirits decorated the forests surrounding it. Dallan would personally see to their countless visitors, sharing food and drink and imparting wisdom and blessings from their 2 enlightened minds, up until disaster struck. While the events of that day are shrouded in mystery, by dusk Dallan den was pillaged and razed to the ground, the Ettin left to die and what little remained. Dallan, despite his wounds, endured, but Volst would ultimately perish. A part of himself lost, the remaining head prayed and pleaded to the spirits to return his brother to him, yet he received no answer. With the death of Volst and the spirits unwilling to intervene, Dallan renounced his worship, severing his bond to the realm and forsaking the world and its cruel fates. Determined to bring his brother back, the lone head ultimately wishes to raise Volst from the dead through necromancy and conduct the vile ritual of lichdom on him so he may never be lost again. Dallan, the lone head, now resides deep in the swamps of Grunlog, gathering the resources necessary to complete the ritual, determined to find and exact revenge on any who wronged them in life. And that's Therenor's Ettins. Lee and I have been a little sick these last few weeks, so we wanted to try a shorter, more concentrated video this time around. If you liked it, let us know. If you want to keep up with the world of Therenor, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next post, and join us over on the Discord to keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.